Hey, welcome to NASA Edge.
An inside and outside look
at all things NASA.
Oh, that's gonna leave a mark. Well, to be honest with you, I can't tell you where we are. They won't tell me. For some strange reason, they don't trust me. So we'll just have to say that we're at an undisclosed location at NASA Kennedy Space Center. We were going to interview Tracy Gill, Deputy Project Manager for the Habitat Demonstration Unit. Due to circumstances beyond our control, we couldn't conduct that interview. Tracy, however, came through big and delivered interviews with Dr. Carlos Calle of what I like to call the Magic Space Dust Removal Program, and Dr. Ray Wheeler, who's a plant biologist who's learning all the great things you can do with plants in space. And I'm going to try to find out exactly where we are. We're here with Dr. Carlos Calle, and we're talking about the dust mitigation system. Now, I worked with your teammates out at Desert Rats where they explained the dust mitigation system, but apparently there's a lot more to the system that I didn't know. So kind of explain to me what you do here.
We've been working with this technology for 7 years now. We started to develop a way to remove dust from solar panels on Mars. Mars being a dusty planet, there's a big problem with dust accumulating on solar panels, and so that was our first approach to this technology. And so let me show you actually
what are some examples?
Some examples, yeah. The one that we tested at Desert Rats, we have two panels here.
Okay.
To demonstrate that we could remove dust from the windows that we attached to the door, as you remember, out there at Desert Rats, to demonstrate that we can maintain that hatch clean, so that when the rovers mate with the habitats, before the doors are open, we need to clean these things before, so that we don't have dust in the habitat. This particular type of panel contains two sets of electrodes, which are like sets of fingers interlaced, and we apply a signal which is out of phase. And so we apply the signal to this electrode and then to that one, then back to this, and then to this. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
And the reason you do that is if you just sent the signal once, it would lift the dust, but then the dust would settle right back down.
Right back down, exactly. And so this is the way to make it walk.
I really expected this to be more like a little shop of horrors, and there's no dirt here. So I was kind of wondering, what do you actually do in the lab with plants?
In this case, we're doing preliminary setups of some plant growth approaches that we think might work in space, like on the International Space Station. And then we'll do follow-up tests in controlled environment chambers, larger chambers where we can set the plants out and control the temperature and the light intensity. If you think about space, you have certain constraints. You have to contain water, for example. How do you water a plant in weightlessness? It's not a trivial issue, and so you have to be able to contain that and come up with techniques to provide water to the roots.
And I noticed that earlier you were changing the color of the light.
In this case, we're using LEDs, light-emitting diodes. As you know, light-emitting diodes, LEDs, usually have very discrete colors. That's just intrinsic to their nature. So we've used combinations of them to make different spectral composition comparisons.
You actually can grow a plant with only one color, red?
Yes, you can. Red light is a good light source for photosynthesis. Chlorophyll absorbs it, so it drives the photosynthetic reactions. But if you use red light only, the plants tend to be leggy and stretched out.
Leggy.
And
never heard of a plant referred to as leggy.
But if you add some blue light, they behave much more normally in terms of their morphology. They stay more compact and normal looking. And another thing is you need blue light to orient the plants toward the direction of light. And that's important in space because you don't have a gravitational clue anymore for the plants to grow against the gravity. So you have to orient them with light, and you need blue light to do that.
This is one that we developed to protect optical systems, camera lenses,
it's just
and so on.
Piece of glass?
And it's a piece of glass, but it has transparent transparent electrodes, which have a different configuration. We have 3 of those. In this particular case, when we wrap them around in a circle like that, then we have an electric field that radiates out.
Gotcha.
And so it's like ripples on a pond.
Right, because otherwise you could create pockets where the dust wouldn't move.
Right.
So you kind of have to work that way.
So I have the same panel that I showed you earlier down here in this box.
So you have an example.
So we have a brush that we use to deliver the dust to simulate exploration activities on the moon that would kick up dust. So I'm adding actually a lot of dust.
You are adding a lot of that. I'm feeling uncomfortable, like you're besmirching the test article. And have you ever added too much and been unsuccessful with your test?
Actually, yes. you can if you pile it up. I mean, actually, it works eventually. But
Over time, Okay, it takes a little longer. Now you're going to just throw a switch?
So I'm going to throw a switch and activate the 3 electrodes.
Oh, wow.
And so it throws the dust to the periphery of where the electrode.
It looks computer generated. I mean, and oddly, it seemed to work inward. So there's not a lot of carryover. Once they get away from the electrodes, dust settles again.
Yeah.
Now, what would happen if you drop dust now?
We can do that.
Really?
We can do that.
Are you sure?
We keep it running, and we can drop dust on it, and we'll see what happens. It actually deflects it. It
won't stay on.
As a shield, and so it repels it. Even if you drop large amounts of it, it just deflects it.
Well, why do you need to do more testing? Because this looks 100% successful in my untrained eye.
It is very successful, but it is at a small scale still. For desert rats, we scale it up to this configuration, an 8x10 and a 9-inch diameter circular panel for the window. This year, we're going to try to see if we can cover the entire hatch, which is about a 2.5 by 4 feet door.
One of the factors that we are trying to incorporate into our testing and our strategies is to choose plants that are high in antioxidants. Those are compounds that can repair damage in your cell tissue, your DNA, if there's radiation damage, for example. So can we add foods, fresh foods, to the diet that could serve as a radiation countermeasure? It's a high radiation environment, and so the astronauts are exposed to this. Can we augment the diet with something that would give them a measure of protection in living in that environment? As the missions go farther and stay longer, then of course, if you can begin to expand these systems, now you can generate oxygen, you can remove and reduce the carbon dioxide, and you could couple wastewater treatment systems with the plants as well. So you could do multiple life support functions as you begin to scale these up.
Well, it's funny, as important as I think plants are to the aesthetics of living, it seems like there are lots of ways that strategically they can be used to help the astronauts.
All the oxygen we're breathing right now on the surface of the Earth was generated through photosynthesis.
Oh, if we play our cards right, maybe we'll create an atmosphere on Mars.
Maybe the day will come.
Yeah, then maybe I can move there. I'm sure a lot of people would be happy about that. One other rumor, and you can either confirm or deny that this is true. One thought is you'd like to incorporate this technology even within clothing, i.e. a spacesuit.
Right.
Is that true?
So we have done some work.
Okay.
It's
very flexible.
This is actually a piece of cotton, and the electrodes are made of carbon nanotubing. That was actually developed in our polymers lab here at KSC.
Wow.
We tested these in air and at vacuum successfully.
Awesome.
And so the next step, of course, is to go from cotton to a more representative material for spacesuits, and that is the challenge.
If this technology works, maybe they can reconsider like cotton dockers up there in space. 100% cotton dockers. As a matter of fact, I'd like a pair of cotton dockers with this on. I'd be really hip and dust-free. Well, very good. Thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure.
You're watching NASA Edge, an inside and outside look at all things NASA, completely dust-free. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. This is awesome. I can't believe you can keep the dust off there perpetually. It's great.